AMG Hobby Talk number 75. Excellent. It's chilly, brisk out here in the eastern part of Ontario here, but collected scallops, collected people. Steve, how are you?
I am good, and I guess I have to say hello to my sister and her son Ashton. They are now visiting us here in Nova Scotia, and Ashton, who never sees snow because they live in Australia, when I left this morning at 8:30, was outside frolicking in a quarter-inch of snow. So hopefully it doesn't melt before he gets his fun in the great white north.
Wow. From Australia to Canadian snow. Interesting. Quite a play. Blair, how are you?
Fantastic.
Wow. Amazing. Sensational. So what we're going to do, this episode, we'll be talking about 24-25 SPx. I'll go over a little breakdown of that. We'll show off some cards that came in the shop. So we've got that going on. And we received some nice comments. I also want to thank everybody who did listen to what we were saying, heard our pleas, and subscribed to get us over 400 subscribers. So thank you for that. Now we're going to slowly work our way. We're going to try to creep our way up to 500 down the road here. That's the next goal, down the road. So we'll be going for it, and then we'll go. But if you haven't already, subscribe. Do it for Blair. Do it for Steve, the collector of scallops, collector of the people. And we'll keep bringing you this fun stuff, or we'll talk about some stuff that came in the shop. Now, before I do, and go into the rest of it, I'm going to quickly go over kind of a list of a couple of the items that, a couple of the different products that are coming in. Some of it, honestly, I'm going to gloss over, not because we don't want to spend a lot of time talking about it, but there's just a long list of restocks. So just to be long story short, there's a long list. A lot of the stuff you're familiar with. I'll give you a summary on some of it. So real quick, we'll start off with 2024 Panini Donruss Football Factory Set. So that's there if you want that format. 2025 Panini Court Kings Basketball, the Intern Blaster. I think that's just short for international, I guess, maybe. So I'm not sure on that one. It's just listed as Intern Blaster, but it might be international. 2025 Panini Donruss Basketball International, separate from that. So yeah, so it looks like international and then the Blaster version as well. Yep. Panini Origins Basketball 2025. Origins Basketball H2, so same thing, but a different format. We've got Minecraft 15th Anniversary Blaster 2024, and then the Anniversary Mega Box. So also Minecraft. Two versions of it. We got Pokemon restocks in there as well. I'm not going to go over this list because genuinely I couldn't tell you a damn thing about them. But if you are curious and want more information, you can reach out directly to the store for pricing, availability, and information. And Steve will personally answer all your Pokemon needs.
Call Blair.
I knew that was coming.
Yeah. So there are several of them. So just to be clear, there are several of them. Blister packs, 3-pack blisters. There's a couple of different formats, a whole bunch. So again, if you want specifics, reach out to the store. It's probably the simplest way to get some answers on that, and that way you'll know what's coming up. Real quick, I'm just getting ahead here. SPx Hockey, as I mentioned a little earlier, and the rest of this looks like supplies. So SPx Hockey will be our main focus today. So those are some of the products that are coming in the shop.
Carlos, could I?
Yes.
Could I throw in something we didn't chat about just because you did mention supplies and I forgot? We are getting a little restock on form of top loaders, not our regular ones, but they are regular size, just enough to get us through to the end of April, which we're getting a big restock on our top loaders. So just to let people know, officially, we're kind of out. But we do have some coming in the interim to get us through. So won't be selling cases or anything, but we will have some for the general collector to put those beautiful pieces of memorabilia away and keep them safe till we get the big order.
Ooh, good sell on the top loaders, man. It's exciting stuff.
Well played.
Well played.
That's what I do.
I want to acknowledge some of the comments from the last episode as well. So thank you always for commenting on some of these. Gotham Collections here as always. So great video as always. Sweet pickups. Go Sens go. So thank you.
Go Sens go.
I always appreciate you. East Coast Lifestyle commenting on here. The hobby is booming with 2 fire emojis. So thank you for that. Good stuff. Bookie Collection here. Subbed. Love it. Appreciate the subscription. And then Double D Vintage baseball cards, someone that I do know from YouTube as well. Speaking on the vintage that we were going over last week, never in my life have I noticed a disappearing bat on the 61 Mays MVP. So I did point that out. Again, I love it. Look at the pictures, especially on the vintage cards. You will find fun. Steve and Blair now know. I will look at these pictures and I will scan through and I find stuff all the time. Facial expressions, little missing things. There are little Easter eggs and quirks all over those things. If you collect this stuff, look at the cards. You might find some fun stuff in there. It's right there. It's right in front of you if you want to look.
Yeah, you're right. I think it gets lost sometimes. We don't slow down enough. It's get this and buy that and put it away and You forget to kind of slow down and actually look at it, and because you're right, there is some fun, unique stuff that nowadays it's kind of more clean, but back then there's some cool stuff.
Yeah, and honestly, and I stand by my theory. I think there's some genuine vendettas that were taken out. When I look at some of the pictures chosen for some of these players, no, there was a genuine hatred. There's a vendetta being taken out, Steve. Someone had it in for some of these guys. So, and also, as he says, it's been on his wall numerous times over the past few decades. He's a big collector of a lot of vintage. So some of these cards have been on, he's got a whole wall display and everything with a lot of these cards. So sometimes, again, you get lost for it. You collect them. They're there. They're there all the time, but you never notice the little details. Again, take a minute and take a look. Sometimes you'll find some fun stuff in there. Okay. And thank you all for the comments and much appreciated. As always, if you want to leave a comment, we'll acknowledge it on the following episode. If you do need to have a specific question, something more time sensitive, reach out directly to the store. That way you can get those responses. I'll put the little scrolling ticker across the bottom with the Instagram and the website. Reach out. Also, more things are in the description. Do that, and you'll be able to get a quicker response if you need something that's more time sensitive. If it's just a general comment or question, feel free to throw it in the comment section, and we'll get to it in the following episode. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over a couple of cards that came in the store. And as I mentioned, I will be talking about SPx to finish it off. One other quick reminder as well. I did mention previously last week that we're going to have the card show is going to be in the middle of the month. So it's going to be the 19th of April. It's going to be the Saturday. The Good Friday should be a day off for the store. And obviously Good Friday, probably the mall will be closed as well. So just bear that in mind. But the Saturday, the card show should still be on as expected. It is earlier in the month because of the Spring Expo, which we will also be talking about a little bit more next week. And then the following week after that we will be mentioning a little more information about that. So bear that in mind. The Spring Expo is coming up. And as a result of that, the card show has been moved up earlier in the month. So there are your reminders. Okay, let's go over a couple of cards here, and then we'll talk some SPx because that's going to take us a couple of minutes to get through. So here we go, and let's start off with this one here. So we've got a Josh Allen tie-dye prism from 2022 Select, which is always a fancy design on these. A lot of the tie-dyes actually do look pretty nice. The tie-dyes, I believe, are numbered to 25, if memory serves me, and this is in a PSA 10.
Yep, and apparently he's had a good season, so it was a good time to pick this card up.
And I will say, by the way, like in the vein of what I'm talking about, aesthetically, you combine the tie-dye with this kind of design, it actually should look pretty good in hand because I do like some of the tie-dyes look, and it's got the good combination of the chrome and then a little bit of shine on it. It's a good looking card if you like yourself some football cards and Josh Allen. So this one's kind of a fun one. I want to talk about this for a second. So we're talking about Donruss Preferred. So Donruss / Pinnacle and a lot of those companies right at the end of the 90s came out with a lot of fantastic stuff. Donruss Preferred, for those who don't remember, this was a one-off set. They only did the set one time. So it was 97, 98. Donruss Preferred were actually in these large metallic tins. And inside of the large metallic tins, you had smaller tins, which all had players on them. So on the front of the tin, you actually had a player on the front. So you could collect different players that were on the large tin, which was the box. And then the smaller tins were the individual packs. And inside of these little metallic tins, you'd have the pack inside. Well, the thing is, the packs themselves also had players in them. So you had a blue version, you had a red version, and you also had gold versions that were numbered on the tins. And then the large tin was also numbered. And inside the packs themselves, you have the cards. They follow this kind of metallic setup on it, metallic in terms of the foil that they used on it. But on top of everything else, and there were some beautiful inserts on this as well. But on top of everything else, you had what was called the precious metals. These are not precious metal gems, but they're called precious metals. And they were actually made with the metal in question. So the card that we're pointing out here, this is the Joe Thornton. It was a rookie for him. This is 1 gram of fine gold on this card. So it is, in fact, gold.
Yeah. And these are unbelievably rare. And they actually I guess it's like a flexi chrome almost that you use. Like the card is very loose and bendable and stuff. And it actually was issued in like a little plastic when you got it. So
yeah,
I wasn't necessarily involved like in the 90s stuff, of course, where I was a vintage guy, but I've been around long enough to know like these are super tough and rare. So we did buy a collection that had 7 or 8 of these in there. And some of them are pop 1s or pop 2s, that sort of thing, because they're just super tough to receive a high grade and also just hard to find in general. So we were very excited to get these in the shop.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And now, one of the funny things, though, and I'll just tell you as a quick anecdote, since we were talking about Spring Expo coming up here, there were years where this series, because Donruss slash Playoff and that and Pinnacle as well, all went out of business right at the end of the 90s because they went offline basically after 97, 98. They came up with all these cool kind of ideas that ended up being one-offs. And as a result of that, these things didn't get the appreciation right away. Like obviously these metal, precious metal cards did get appreciation, but there were a lot of other things. This was also the Marian Hossa rookie year, so he was in that series. But you could buy tins slash boxes, so the hobby boxes, at the expo. Grizzly Sports Cards and a couple of other dealers would have them. I was opening boxes of this in the 2010s for $35 Canadian a box.
Wow.
Yeah.
And there were possibilities to pull stuff like this. So, and trust me, it was a lot of fun. Those tins were fun to open. And I've got a Medano large tin and I've got the small versions of them and everything. But they were collectible in their own right if you wanted to. But opening them up was kind of fun. But they were not appreciated initially. Now you can't get them anymore. Or if you do, it's going to cost you more. It's going to cost you more than $35. But let me tell you, it was a great deal. It was a steal back then at $35 to open these boxes. All right. Then we got the precious metal again. Same thing. This time it's platinum. So again, you're getting 1 gram of platinum. So very much so. So, in this case, there is some, again, it's 1 gram, but at the same time, you're getting a little bit of inherent value with the metal itself, which is kind of an interesting quirk. Also to PSA 10, so very nice. And then we got the Patrick Waugh platinum. So very good. And at least these came out in pretty good shape as well. So bonus points for that. And then we got the Mark Messier from the ill-fated time in Vancouver. Not so great.
We actually have, there's 2 PSA 10s and we have both of them. So for now, I'm trying to keep the two cards together, and maybe a collector might want one and use the other for trade bait to complete a set.
There you go. Fancy. Now, let's go a little bit more towards modern. So 2016 Upper Deck, we got the Mitch Marner, the rookie breakouts. This is number to 100. So we've got a little bit of an acetate as well going with it. So if you're a big fan of Mitch Marner, it's a pretty fancy card there. PSA 10. Whoops. Here, we've got Allure. So we've got the doubloons. These ones were very tough pulls. They are nice cards, very shiny in terms of the reflective foil on it. But they are kind of tough pulls on there, which is kind of interesting. And then we got Matthew Nyes here on this one. So in a PSA 10, and they are slightly thicker cards, I believe, as well, as I recall. So getting them in a 10 is actually pretty solid, I would say.
They would be tough 10s. Yeah.
And then here, for a resident Sens fan, in the comments section, so this is for you.
Yeah, had to do it.
There it is.
The Boone Stutzla. We got that on there in a PSA 10. So good stuff. So, and I think that is the last of the ones that I said. Let me just double check real quick. Yeah, that's the last one I've got on here. So there you go. Wanted to share some cards that came in the shop. A nice mix of different things. I wanted to take a minute and talk about that Donruss Preferred, though, because that was a personal favorite of mine. I enjoyed that set, especially in 97, 98. Go ahead, Steve.
No, it's, again, thrilled to get it. A couple have already sold. Within 30 minutes of putting them in the showcase, someone walked in, and just like me, he's like, I've never owned one, let alone, only seen a couple in person. So they came and went pretty fast, but there's still a couple left in the showcase.
Steve, can you answer this? Because I know we talked about it. Those cards came in a little plastic insert.
Yeah, and again, I was kind of learning as I went too. They almost came in a little, plastic, like it's almost like a little sealed pack.
Like a sleeve, yeah.
And people would actually, cut them out of the sleeve, and then where they're so flimsy, they would damage easy. So to find these ones sealed and then have them slabbed, they'll grade them inside that little plastic protection that they had.
Yeah, that's where I was going. I was wondering, since you sent them out, they did grade them and kept them in that original sleeve. Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah, which I think is smart, to be honest, because it gives it a little extra protection. So I think it ends up being a wise move.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was kind of a fun throwback. When I saw that in the images, like, oh, I can speak to this a little bit. I know this one pretty well.
No, I missed that. I was collecting older stuff.
There you go. Yeah. So that was right in my wheelhouse, because I was all over that 97, 98, and 99 and 98, 99 products, because I was very familiar with almost all. I opened at least a couple of packs or a box of almost everything that year and those couple of years. I enjoyed playing around with it.
Cool.
The Dare to Tear is the one that I enjoyed the most. The Zenith, that was a fun one. Let me tell you, I dared to tear quite a number of times. Good times on that.
Nice.
All right, so let's talk about 24-25 SPx Hockey. We're going to talk about that. That's the latest one in here. So a couple of important notes. If you are familiar with it the last couple of years, it's been a certain format. They have adjusted it. So I will make a couple of these notes. We'll leave a link in the description to it for you so you can check out the checklist. So the checklist will be included here and everything. We'll go over some high-level stuff on this one. So right here, on the note, it says, it has evolved a couple of different times. It's adjusted a couple of different times because SPx goes back to the 90s. So what they've done is they've increased the number of cards in the box this time around. So I'll go over the configuration. So they've got 175 cards in the checklist, 100 veterans, 60 rookies, and 15 short print rookie holograms. So we've got a lot of that in there. So here's kind of your base kind of design. In hand, I'm guessing it's going to have a little bit of foil. We'll have to look at it more closely. It looks like it just from the mock-up. If that's the case, it should look pretty all right. So we'll get a chance to see more once some of those cards get open. So we got some parallels on here. We've got the silver. Veterans are 1 in 4 packs. Rookies are 1 in 8. So now 1 in 8 packs, that's 1 per box. So it's an 8-pack box. So I'll give you the configuration more so in a minute, but 1 in 8 packs, you're talking about 1 per box. For the golds, your veterans are 1 in 12 packs. Rookies are 1 in 24. Radiance out of 100. Grand Finale out of 50. Silver Spectrum out of 25. And Gold Spectrum, 1 of 1s. So not too bad in terms of number of parallels. That's, that's almost reasonable. It's a little bit restrained, but you're still going to have enough there to challenge you a little bit if you want to chase. So select rookies also have autographs, all of which are serial numbered. So you've got that. You got a red parallel to that, Silver Spectrum out of 10 and Gold Spectrum out of 1 of 1. There are autographs on here, but I should note you're not guaranteed 1 per box. So it's very important that I note that. So this product doesn't have that. If you do pull an autograph, it is going to be a tougher pull. Depending on which subset it is, some of them are tougher than others. But here's what you need to know. So something like Superscripts, 1 in 160 packs. Well, there's 8 packs per box. 160 packs, that's 1 per case. It's a 20-box case. Okay? So just remember, if you pull a Superscript, that's a case hit. All right? Next, rookie Superscripts are 1 in 120 packs, so slightly easier, still not easy. So you've got those. And both of them get gold parallel. So in terms of that, you also got holographs, 1 in 240 packs. Again, go back to what I said a moment ago about cases. That's very tough. And Star Focus signatures, 1 in 270 packs. Even tougher. So autographs are at a premium. They're tough to come by. So if you do pull one, congratulations. They do have buyback autographs on here for the 96-97 SPx set, which is a very nice set, but you're going old school on that one. Most of them are numbered to 15 or less each. So if you pull one of the buybacks, super tough. And of course, because Upper Deck does like to torture me, there's a Medano in there out of 9. Thanks, guys. All I'm saying. Thanks, guys. So next,
I'll make a note, Carlos.
I always make a note, and I've got words. I've got words for our friends at Upper Deck. So Hall of View FX. So we've got the veterans of 1 in 10 packs, rookies of 1 in 7. They've got a blue out of 399 and red out of 25. So you can see they're kind of on the mock-up there. It looks like it should be all right. Again, in hand, we'll get a better sense of it, but the mock-up at least gives us a taste. All-time Hall of View inserts, 1 in 40 packs. Now, you've got another couple of things in here. You got finite. So you've got some inserts in there. They're all serial numbered, going all the way from $9.99 to $5.99, $3.99, gold $1.99, purple out of 99, tuxedo out of 25, silver spectrum out of 10, and gold spectrum 1 of 1s. So it gets a little bit complicated in terms of what you're getting in a box. Expect your base cards, parallels, and different kind of inserts, because you're getting a sense from the list of stuff I'm reading off. There's a lot of different kinds of inserts, parallel versions of it all over the place. So there's a lot going on. There's SPx game film, which is kind of a throwback. There's a little bit of old school because they've done the game film kind of thing before. That's 1 in 14 packs. So that's a little worse than 1 per box. Not like too crazy. Again, they should look pretty decent in hand. Like the little game film things are kind of fun. So it's a little bit of a throwback. And you've got a blue out of 199 and a red out of 10 version of those as well that are available. You've got an insert called Bound for Glory, 1 in 8 packs, so that's 1 per box. Excellence Redefined, 1 in 20. SP Excellence, so we got to have our SPx puns, SP Excellence on there. SPx Force, which is kind of a throwback. Hollowed Hardware, so kind of example, 1 in 267 packs, kind of a weird number. Salute is 1 in 800 packs. That's 1 in 100 boxes. So there's an OV mock-up, so that's a very tough card right there. So several of them have an autograph version as well. So here's the breakdown. 3 cards per pack, 8 packs per box, like I said. 20 boxes in a case, so 2 10-box inner cases. and what you should expect in a hobby box: 2 finite cards, 1 PETG or hologram inserts, 4 of those in a box, 1 gold parallel, 3 silver parallels, and 4 base rookies. So you notice I said parallels, base, and inserts. That's what's in most of the boxes. If you pull an autograph for any of those, congratulations, you beat the odds, because they're not guaranteed per box.
Nope.
Very important.
Yep. No, I kind of like that. It makes the autograph a tough pull, and this issue definitely won't be watered down with too many autographs. It's a chase, and when you get one, hopefully you pull the right one and have a nice payday.
Yeah,
for the collector.
Yep, absolutely. So there's going to be in there. Like I said, you got to look out for it. It is possible to pull some of these, but they're not going to make it easy for you. If you do pull one, you have succeeded. Congratulations. There are a number of different numbered ones, but then several of them have high ratios, so you get a bit of a sense of it. So that's really what it comes down to. That's what you should look forward to on SPx. Now, what that does for you is it brings the box price. If you compare it to some of the recent products that have been coming out, the box price is actually a little bit more competitive compared to some of the more recent ones. But obviously the format adjusts for that as well. But remember, you are getting 24 cards in that box. So it's, I don't think it's going to be a very long rip. So, best of luck to you. You got these 3 card packs, but again, we'll see. We'll judge better once some of them start getting opened. We'll be able to see what the cards really look like and get a better sense of what you're getting. Should be interesting. And like I said, we'll include the checklist, the link to the checklist and everything on there. And also remember, there are update cards. Like in a lot of Upper Deck products, you've got SPx updates, so you can get Quinn Hughes, SPx Signature Fabrics. There's in there. 22-23 updates are in there. UD Black Lustrous Rookie Auto Patch Spectrum. That's a very long name.
Yeah,
but that's on there. But they did include some UD Black, and they actually threw in a couple of Pride of the Nation auto patches. So you've got a couple of on there. You've got Alexander Barkov and Owen Power. So again, they are throwing in some of that stuff on there with SPx updates, rookie patches, all kinds of stuff. So Fantilli, Bedard is in there, is it 0304. So here's what I like to see. This is an update of 23-24, and in the update of 23-24, they included 0304 retro rookie updates. So we've got a update of a card that is retro designed.
Perfect.
Got that, Blair? Clear as mud?
I'll think about it.
I feel almost like I have to do the whiteboard thing, like that conspiracy guy, and do all these things just to explain this. Like, I wouldn't want to be the person doing checklists for this, Steve. The person doing okay, so what is it? So it's 24-25 SPx, and then it's the update, and then it's going all the way through the rest of this. It's it's 0304 retro. No, stop it. That's already it's a run-on sentence. Yeah. Commas. I need something in there. A break. Yeah.
No, I like it. I like that you got to do a little bit of thinking and researching and see what you have. Makes it a little exciting. Maybe someone will have a nice surprise. They'll have something that's awesome that they didn't know what was until they research it.
I'm not completely convinced they'll know what it is after the research, Steve. They won't know where to start. What am I supposed to type in here? What am I typing? I don't even know. Best of luck to you. Best of luck to you. So now you know, since Steve's zest for this, if you pull something from this product and you have no idea what it is, let Steve explain it to you.
Sure.
I think that'll be good. All right, so we got that on there. So real quick, I'll also mention, as usual, links are always in the description for a lot of this stuff. If you've got questions on anything, always reach out to the store. And also, I want to remind, because we'll do it for here and there, also check out the eBay store. There are auctions Sunday to Sunday. There's new stuff there all the time. I'll take a quick peek here and see if I can find anything interesting on there. But in the meantime, is there anything else that we want to make sure we touch on? We touched on the card show, the adjustment schedule, so we got that. Anything else we want to make sure we hit on here?
Yeah, actually, over the weekend, I went down to the Valley and was able to buy a significant unopened wax collection of football and hockey. I believe the gentleman was wanting to do some renovations on his home or something like that. So it was the time to pay for those renovations with his collection. So he pretty much had 2 or 3 boxes of each year. So yeah, we have a nice run of football starting in 2006 of a couple hobby boxes from each year, a couple blasters from each year. So it's been hard to get football here. So those that are into football, don't hesitate. Come on in and see what you can grab, because we haven't had this much football product in a while, and it's been enjoyable to price, because some of it again is kind of before my time as far as getting involved with the newer stuff. And then hockey's the same thing. I think it starts in 08 or something, and it's kind of like same thing. Couple hobby boxes from each year, couple blasters. So the showroom looks great right now because it's completely full with unopened product. But yeah, as fun as it is to put it up, you're sad to see it go, because it looks great in here right now with all the variety. But yeah, so don't hesitate and come in and see if there's anything there that you can use.
Nice. So just as Steve was talking, I wanted to show the eBay storage so you guys could see some of the stuff on there. So feel free, if you're checking it out on replay, feel free to scroll through. You can see some of the stuff on there. But you saw there was a mix. There was hockey, there was soccer, there was baseball, there was all kinds of stuff on there. Even some of those precious metals that we showed off were on there. If you paid attention, you would have caught some of that. You would have caught the dual Mark Messier's on there. So they were both part of a lot. So it was included in there. You can check it out on the eBay store. The link is in the description. Now, that does remind me. There was one more thing. Go ahead, Blair.
Sorry, back just to let people know as well. I know our discount boxes are one of the popular things in the store as well too. So yeah, we've been increasing that and getting some fresh cards out there. So for any guys that want to come through and pile through, we have our regulars. But anybody that's looking to do that, there's quite a few fresh boxes out there. So mostly hockey. I wouldn't say the other sports, but if anybody's looking to spend a little bit of time, come in and pile through those. There's some fresh meat there for people.
Wow, fresh meat. Damn. Good Lord.
And also too,
Thanks, columns.
Back in the attic as well. Blair's priced almost 200 starting lineups, McFarland's, things like that are priced to sell. So yeah, the attic is completely jam packed as well. Yeah, right now, as far as inventory wise, we're in a very good shape right now. So come on in and have a look.
And I set it up very eye appealing. If you walk into the attic, there's a lot of
with meat hooks. Just to go with the meat hooks to go with your fresh meat analogy. Is that part of the deal? You got to hang up with meat hooks. Is that part of the deal?
Yeah, I'm drying some salami back there.
Blair, I gotta be honest. We have to collect the scallops, and you're over here with your fresh meat and your meat hooks. Like I'm sensing a theme over here. Y'all are hungry or something? Like
we like food.
Yeah, I can see that. Okay. So I had a question for you guys. I wanted to ask you. So this will be what we'll close off on. So obviously Ovechkin got his 895th goal. Became the all-time leading goal scorer. I was chatting with the guys on a podcast episode I do on my channel every week, and we actually spent an extended amount of time talking about it. But just really briefly, I wanted to touch on it. I'd be curious, especially. But have you noticed has there been any uptick in interest in Ovechkin singles at all in the lead up to it, or just generally the same as normal?
The lead up, definitely. Honestly, the last couple of weeks it kind of plateaued. So, but even like his, not just his young gun, but some of whether it's a patch auto, things like that, and they're liquid. Whether the price goes up or not, they're just liquid. Like you come in, you got an Ovechkin, and so we're very light on Ovechkins. I do have a couple Ovechkin rookies that are priced with comps, which it's been kind of fun since he's broken the record, getting some offers on some of the Ovechkins, someone trying to, will you take $200 for your PSA 9 young gun? So I'm getting a couple laughs out of some of the offers that are coming in, but yeah, there was a big uptick there in Ovechkin, 6 weeks to 2 months ago, where, he was bringing like 8 to 9,500 depending on the day. And now I think he's, back down 6,500 ish. Yeah, I thought there might be another big uptick on it, and it still might happen.
Yeah,
but
the chase for the record
always good.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the reason I was curious, because I suspect there was going to be interest in the lead up to it. The problem I thought was going to be my thought was, as soon as it kind of was on the verge of happening, especially for something like the young guns, everybody and their brother was going to list it all at once. So like you basically flooded the market with it all at once. It's like, well, now you got your choice. You got your pick of the litter, and
That's
you know
right.
it kind of the people that want to buy it, they can now. Now's as good a time as any, but it's tough to hold value when suddenly there's plenty of supply. It doesn't exactly make it feel very rare.
Yeah, it was significant supply. So even Lane Hudson's a good example. 6 weeks or so ago, I think his PSA 10s were around $1,000, and then I think they dropped to $300. Now they're up around $500. So it's which I kind of like. They're kind of watching the player, like as he goes, the collector goes, or the the potential investor goes. So it's been kind of fun to watch Hudson this year because they're definitely up and down, and you want to get them and move them quick because the market still hasn't settled down on him. Thought 1,000 was too high, maybe 300 was too low. So hopefully he'll settle in around the $500 mark. Plus, a lot more 10s are coming back now too, as all the cards are coming back from grading.
Absolutely. So on that note, hopefully people who have been looking out, hopefully they're able to get the cards they're looking for. Like I said, I've enjoyed the flood of Ovechkin cards that have loaded on the market. All kinds of stuff is coming out of the woodwork. It's been very interesting to watch for sure. I'm crossing my fingers, actually. I'm hoping Ovi can score a couple more goals and maybe take a run at 900 before the season's over. I will say, though, I was impressed, and this is kind of my thing, Blair, is that in that whole run-up, he didn't limp into the finish line. Like, he just hit the accelerator. Like, he attacked it very aggressively here at the tail end. And that's very good. It's good to see, like, at age 39 for him, when you think, okay, I guess he's going to drop off, like, he's fourth in the league in goals. Like, and he missed a month with a broken leg.
Yeah, and he didn't tighten up or anything. He just kept going. Some people, when they're getting close to a milestone, the pressure gets to them, and they get a little tighter on the stick. But it didn't phase him. He just kept plugging along, and that, I guess that just shows what a great player and obviously goal scorer that he is.
Yeah, and then I think getting lost in the whole thing too is Washington's a pretty good team and they're winning.
Yep.
So
they've got a real shot.
Through all this streak, they've been winning. So I think winning probably helped take a bit of the pressure off. Things are maybe he was a little looser. If they were on a big losing skid and out of the playoffs, maybe the little bit of lust, I don't know, maybe he would have focused on it more. But I think the winning part of it is kept things loose and kept the team loose and maybe, helped it along. But I mean, he scores his goals from where he scores his goals. So it's a phenomenal shot. And
now, Blair, show your sweet Caparel card you just got reslabbed there.
Oh, well, I could.
Yeah.
Blair, now's your moment, Blair. Now's your moment.
So I'm going to try to do this more gracefully. Sorry about the reflection.
Yeah, that's an awesome card. Those are super tough to find.
Yeah, so 1910. I picked up, I was able to, and this is in a 4, so pretty good. The back, oh boy, I got a lot of reflection. Sorry. Back's pretty good. A few little spots and stuff, but in a 4, Steve can attest to these. Pretty clean. A few little marks on the front, but I was able to pick them up. I had seen them, but a long time ago. And I just thought they're cool. I love anything old, and started, seeing them pop up for big money. And but I was able to pick up 2. I have another one that's not as nice as this one. But I just thought it was neat to have a little piece of that history. And Steve was just telling me off while we were chatting. I said, "Oh, I got this back," and he was like, "Yeah, they had years and years ago. I think they had a complete set, which I can't even imagine laying eyes on nowadays." So from 1910, Sweet Caparel, and that one's Marty Welch. Call it a postcard. So it's a kind of a postcard size. Might be hard to tell from that. Me just holding it up there, but and Marty Welch was quite a. For people know back in the day, quite an athlete. I don't know if he played lacrosse too. Some of these guys played both pretty efficiently, but there's something, I think he played something else. I can't remember if it was lacrosse or was pretty good athlete for back in the day, but
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Nice little bonus there at the end.
Yeah, that one had a little bit of I think it had a crack or something that either developed. I don't know if I dropped it or I don't think I dropped it. It might have fell off my shelf, but anyway, something happened. So just a reslab, but it looks nice now in the new PSA holder.
Wow. Yep. Unbelievable.
Yep.
So if you are curious about anything, including the submission of PSA cards for PSA service, you can use the links in the description. Last thing I'll mention real quick, listen, we got to get the plugs in. Last thing in, like I mentioned earlier, the reason I mentioned the Ovechkin, in addition to the fact it's timely, hopefully folks enjoyed the chance to see it, because it was a historic moment. It may be a long time before anybody else challenges. It's going to be very difficult, because the Ovechkin route is going to be a very big challenge. He was able to play nearly 20 years with very minimal interruption in terms of injuries. He stayed very healthy and stayed very consistent, which is the difficult part.
That's the two keys: staying healthy and consistent. And he had
stuff can happen all the time. And
of course,
Steve, if he gets,
go ahead.
I was going to say was, if he gets to 900 goals, Steve, that's 45 goals for 20 straight seasons.
Impressive.
That's that's. I'm not gonna hold my breath that someone can sustain that level consistent. Guys can score 50 plus, but like year after year after year after year, and you just keep chugging along. That's very difficult to do. Not impossible, but it's getting tougher.
And I was looking at some of the media feeds. Of course, once something happens, they got to move on to the next thing, so they can't let Ovi enjoy this. But they were putting up stats already about Matthews. And so at their both points in their career, Matthews has more goals at this point than Ovi did. But I thought Matthews handled it very classy. Somebody asked him, I saw in the news, and he was just like, yeah, I got so far to go, I can't even think about that. And he kind of let Ovi have his. So I was kind of impressed he said that. But it'll be tough for. I can only think of anybody that might be able to do it would be like a Matthews, like a goal scorer. But I mean, it's going to be so hard to do for the reasons you just mentioned.
Yeah, like when it comes down to it, I'll just say this: like, not to put a cup of cold water on anybody else's thing, I wouldn't even seriously look at him until goal 600.
Yeah.
So basically, he needs to basically keep scoring at a crazy rate, get to 400, 500, 600 as fast as he can, the youngest he can, as quickly as he can.
Yeah.
And then maybe we can start having a vague discussion, because until then, you're too far away, Steve. Even at 600, you're almost 300 goals away. So like, there's a lot of work to do even at that point. But at least now you're talking 600-700 goals.
Yeah. Good news is Gretzky's only one behind him, so he's still got a chance to catch him.
Maybe he can get out there.
Game, hey, do you think? Or
maybe he might have to try. Anyway, I want to make sure I get you guys out on time, so we're right up against the hour. So I want to thank you guys for participating as always. Check out the links in the description if you're interested and curious about anything we talked about or want to reach out to the store for anything. So for Bonus Blair, Steve, Collector of Scalps, Collected People, thank you for checking this one out. We will be back on a future episode. But for now, we'll catch you in the next one.